What's up, guys? Now in this video, this is something that I've been wanting to do for a while. It's a very relevant topic, and I feel like, especially if you're new on the scene as a music producer, songwriter, or mixing mastering, or maybe you're starting to get clients, customers, musicians, whatever you want to call them in this video, involved in your projects and you're making money, again, dealing with them on a daily basis. The one thing that's going to happen when you get a more frequent income is you're going to get more difficult customers, different type of customers with different needs, and you need to know how to deal with them as a music producer, because a music producer, it's a very personal, intimate relationship that you have with the customer, because or the musician in this case, because you are creating something that they're very passionate about. This isn't like working in retail at a till and you're just serving a customer who wants to buy a plant pot from a supermarket, for example. There's no passion, there's no desire to really sort of like help anyone out. It's a transaction that's happening. But music, it's not just a transaction. Obviously, we want to make money from it, but it's about the experience. You want the artist to have a great working relationship with you, not only because they're going to come back to you afterwards, but because the process of creating a song should be a beautiful experience. You should enjoy it. It should be, again, like something you look forward to and aspire to do as much as possible. And at the forefront of that, you still have to do a good job while catering to the customer's needs, and that could be hard at times. Now in this video, I wanted to talk about a couple of examples of difficult customers I've had in the past and how I've dealt with them. I've been full-time now practically for 2 years. I have been doing services for a lot longer, but it's only in the past 2 years that things have been on the full-time basis, and that's when I've really noticed a massive dynamic in the different type of customers I have and how they operate differently. And there's been times where I've made mistakes and I could have handled certain situations better. But again, that's how you learn from it, and I want you to learn from my mistakes, because I always believe that failure is one of the best things about life, because it gives you a chance to recap, evaluate, and learn and make yourself better. So again, that's why I made this video. So the advice that I'm going to give you off the bat is, yes, we don't want to beat around the bush, we don't want to say it. There are difficult artists out there. Some artists are perfectionists. Some artists actually don't know what they want. I've always found that some artists as well would try and take the mick out of you because they feel like they should be paying a certain price for a song or a song to be mixed and mastered. And it can sort of make you feel like, if you're in the early stages, as I say, and you want to get working, you feel like you have to lower your services just to tailor to the customer's need. Now, again, let's address the first point, and that is pricing and dealing with customers who want to sort of get competitive prices. Now, the advice I'd give you is, I can understand early on you want to just get your name out there, you want to work as much as possible, and that is basically how I did it. I lowered my prices, but the one thing that you've got to be very careful of is, do not lower the price to lower the value of yourself. Because, for example, I did a demo making service on a freelance site called Fiverr, and now I charge, I think it's about $130, $140 for a service, which when I first started on Fiverr, I was charging $80. Now, the thing that I evaluated was how long it would take me to do the service, and then counteract that against how much I'd want to be paid per hour for my craft. And you've got to ask yourself that question as well. The best way to set your prices so you know how to haggle with customers to see if it's worth it is how much you would want to earn an hour for doing something you love. Now, for me, I put it as $15 to $20 at the start. So if someone came to me and they wanted to make a demo, which would take, let's say, 3 to 4 hours to make, that's why I set it at $80. I thought, hey, £20 an hour. This is a full service, like doing 10 instruments and having to record a guide vocal to someone's song they've written. It's going to take time. So I thought, okay, I'll do for £20 an hour, so it's $80. And then for them people who come to me and they want to haggle down, maybe you're having a quiet period, so you do want to get some work in, I thought maybe I could justify lowering to $70, but no lower than that, because that's when people can really start to take the mick. And you've got to be careful, because some people will say that such and such will do it for a cheaper price, and don't feel like you've got to lower your prices just because someone else. Now, again, that isn't really a difficult customer, that's just a customer trying to get a lower price, which is why I'm going to move on to a different example, and that is the perfectionist. The perfectionist musician. Nobody can blame an artist for being a perfectionist. Again, it's your passion, it's your craft. But there are times that I've experienced where I felt like, because an artist is such a perfectionist, sometimes it gets to the stage where they don't know actually what they want at the end game, and they keep thinking of new ideas, they want to add stuff. So you've really got to not only set what I call the amount of revisions an artist has, by revisions, I mean how many times you would allow them to go back and make changes, but also set a time frame on when you want it to be done. That it can be a personal time frame, or it can be something that's agreed between you and the customer, or artist in a sense. But you need to sort of lay down some sort of laws when the service started. Don't have it as a free-for-all where it's like, yeah, I'm just gonna do this song for you for this price, and we'll just keep working till the song's done. Because you will find that 99% of the time that will work out well for you, but there'll be the odd artist where they'll just keep going back and back and back. So set a certain amount of revisions that you want. For a massive production project, I'll normally do about 5 to 10. And what I normally do is to try and avoid, I always do constant updates, and you should do that. Always, for bigger projects, always give them an update so they can see how the song's progressing, because if you leave it later, then you will find that if you've done so much and they don't like it, you would feel like you would have wasted all that time for nothing, and you don't want to do that. So always try and keep the artist updated, keep them in the loop what's going on, and set a certain amount of revisions. So once the song is in its first sort of bounce, let's say, or the first time it's finished, then you can say to them, right, okay, so you've got 3 revisions, so have a listen, go listen to the song which is finished, and then make your last notes on what you want changing. And in theory, by the time that they've made notes come back to you and you've made them changes, they may change their mind once or twice, but that gives you the best chance of satisfying a perfectionist. Again, perfectionists can still be great to work with because they're really passionate about it and they want the song to be good. Now, the next thing I want to talk about is the customer who's not satisfied with the work that you've done. And this is the one that really takes a dent to the ego, completely knocks your confidence. And don't get me wrong, it's happened to me. I've done work with customers, songwriting, mixing, mastering, production, and they just haven't been happy with the outcome. Now, some people can be really nasty and they can say really horrible things. I always think that it's best to ask for constructive feedback. Feedback is good. Saying every name every swear word under the sun to describe how bad the work is another thing. And when people do that, I wouldn't take that sort of thing to heart. I've had it at times when people have basically described my work as insulting. Now, this is a very unique example I've had where there was this person who I think was a little bit on the extreme side of his beliefs in certain things. I did a song for him and he sent me an Emily Sandé song that he wanted to be the reference of. No context on what he wanted the lyrics to be. So I wrote similar lyrical context to the Emily Sandé song, and he came back and said it was insulting because he believed in something quite extremist, where it was meant to be a sort of an inspirational song, sort of like Believe in Yourself, one of them sort of songs. But he had different ideas and he started saying some very horrible things to me, again because he had very strong beliefs in certain things, and unintentionally, clearly something had upset him by me writing a motivational song for him. It's very weird, but the best thing you can do is take a step back and just inform them about you only take feedback from a constructive point of view. Stay calm in situation, don't bite back. The worst thing you can do is bite back. But normally in a situation, what I did for this client was I just sent a respectful message back, basically saying you still have 3 revisions left. Having these revisions requires you to provide constructive feedback on what you want changing or adjusting in the song. If you supply this information, I will be able to do the necessary changes for you so I can get the song to how you want it. Now, being professional like that and talking like that and staying calm will sort of not only calm any sort of tensions of an angry customer who's not happy with the service, but it seems that you're willing, and even though the first draft wasn't to their liking, you're still trying for them, you're putting the effort, and you've been a nice person. And it's very hard to stay angry at someone who's been nice to you. So again, always just treat, no matter how much of, let's just say, an asshole someone is, just always treat them with respect and professionalism, because it's the best way to get a job done. And obviously, if it gets to a stage, you've got to value yourself and you've got to respect yourself. If they are actually just constantly being horrible, not getting anywhere, then sometimes the best thing to do is just to respectfully say that they just go no further with the order. Then that leads me to the next point, when you think, well, I haven't made any money. So the one thing you want to do then is, when you're doing your services, is always charge a deposit. Now, this is going to add a lot more value to your time and feel like you're not wasting your time as much. Now, this isn't something that applies to everyone. Some people are comfortable not to put a deposit in, and that's completely fine. but I've always found, from my experience, I've had a couple of people who've messed me around before, where we sort of started production projects, and then they've gone cold turkey on me, not because it's rubbish, but because they're just so bad at replying. And then they'll reply 2 months later saying that they want to cancel it after you've put in sometimes a couple of weeks effort. And putting a deposit down means that when you're putting the hours and you know you're going to get something at the end of it, I always try to do a 50% deposit, 50% at the start, and the other 50% on completion. So that way the customer doesn't feel like all of his money is going away and it's a big gamble. But at the same time, you feel like if they turn around and say that they don't like it, then you've still got that there. Sometimes you can issue a full refund if you want. It depends what sort of relationship you've got with this customer, whether like it was just one of the ones who wasn't meant to be that time, and if they were very nice, then that is completely in your discretion if you want to do that. But I always encourage you to have value to your time, because at the end of the day, you are a creative, but you're trying to make money, and that's what it's all about. You can't spend, let's say, a week on a project only for an artist, but actually I don't like it. You need to be making something from that, or you just waste your time, and you've wasted each other's time. And another thing that comes to that, which is the next point, which is interesting, is what you do when because it will happen. You will have some orders, like it'd be very naive to think that every order you ever do is going to go, well, I have confidence in my abilities as a songwriter and producer, but I don't always expect to get it right, because music is incredibly subjective, and what one person thinks is a good song, the other person doesn't. So what do you do when someone's cancelled an order? If you are happy with the work you have done, whether they're happy or not, then all you need to do is just keep a log of that work and then use it in a future project. I do this all the time. when someone hasn't been quite happy with a project, maybe like it's nearly done, but I was quite vibing the project, I normally find myself in a situation where I feel like I can use it again and make money off of it in the future. So again, time isn't wasted, and that goes back if you don't want to use your deposit. So how you approach the situation is, if the customer wants to let's say cancel an order or wants a refund, and you feel like you could use this project in something else to get your money back, so your time is still value to money, then you just have to simply justify to them, if you want to cancel this order, then you have to understand that then you won't be able to use this work any longer, and I will have the rights to use this work, and I cannot promise that this work won't get used in future projects with different artists. And stating that with them and just getting them to agree with that is normally like a verbal agreement. You got it in the screenshot, so they can't go and use it now after the work is, say, like the order's been cancelled, if I'm speaking of freelance sides, but if you're working with someone and they've lost interest. So now you've got this asset all of a sudden that you've put this work into. So I use a lot of time with my beat selling. Those of you probably watching right now probably watch my beat selling videos. There's been times where I've worked with artists, and for whatever reason, like the song hasn't been finished and I'm left with some production, and I've gone and uploaded it onto BeatStars, because it's why waste something that you've put so much time into. And like a lot of the time, I never create a production that I don't put a lot of effort into. So I know that when I produce stuff, I never think what I produce is bad. I do think sometimes I do better than other days of producing, but I have confidence in my ability as a producer that I'm going to produce something that at least like I could vibe with, because I'm passionate about it when I'm creating for someone else. So again, try and see all the services you do and all the work you do as an asset. So you want to, not in an ideal world, 100% of the time, the stuff you do for a client you want to give to them. But again, this is a reality that you've got to accept, that things aren't always going to go your way in an order. So again, just always try and see all your services as assets and earn as much money as possible. Now, the last thing that I want to talk about, which is interesting, is the whole debate on how you should charge a customer. Now, it's a really tricky one, and this is something that I've really struggled with when I started like 5-6 years ago, when I started doing any sort of service on the side, creating invoices and stuff, when it was all over my head. And the one thing I was thinking is, like, how do I do a collab? If someone wants to basically say, I don't want to pay for it, can we just do a royalty split to a fee? The one biggest bit of advice I would give you is to, unless this artist has, let's say, they can release a song and it's going to get 100,000 streams, there is no point doing a royalty split, because you're just not going to make the money for your time. For example, at the moment, with everything that's going on with the energy bills and crisis, I always have to watch what I'm doing my prices at. So I normally do a full production ready to release with mixing and mastering for 250 quid. at the moment. And the way you got to look at it is, what would 250 quid in streams get you? And remember, this could be split between 2 people. And you would be surprised how many streams that would actually be to make that 250 quid. Because that's 500 quid, and I'd say that's definitely way over 100,000 streams then that someone would have to get for you to make any sort of value of money for it. So always try and get a fee for your services, because that is the best way you're going to make money. Streaming is absolutely corrupt nowadays. The only time you have to question whether it's worth it to do a royalty split, if it is a band that you can see with a good following and it will get a lot of traction, and try and get an idea of what their plan is for promoting the song, if they're serious, and then you got to sort of evaluate whether it will be worth doing any sort of royalty split. But again, it's tricky. You have to have some sort of publishing site. I'm on PRS, PPL, Centric, BeatStars Publishing as well. They do that. You need to be on one of them to be able to get you them royalties for you. But again, I just don't think it's worth it. I've done a couple royalty splits in the past, and I'm not even joking. I did a collab on a song where I was getting, I think it was 15% for a top line. The song got nearly 30,000 streams and I made £2. And I didn't charge a fee for the vocal production. That's something I regret, because I could have made so much more, because again, you've got to put a value on your services. And yeah, so that was a humbling lesson learned that day. But yeah, guys, I hope this helped. I was just trying to talk about the experiences, but again, at the end of the day, you just got to enjoy the experience with customers, and accept that there is going to be that one tricky customer who comes along every so often. But you just got to be calm about it and do some of the things that I've sort of talked about. And I assure you're going to have most of the time a very pleasant experience with customers and make music, do it for a living. Which again, that's what it's all about. That's what we want. That's what we want to do. And yeah, it's a great industry to be in. And like any other industry, you do get your tricky customers to deal with, or music artists, but you will be prepared for them. And I assure you that once you start building that client list and you provide that great customer service, as was always said when I used to work in retail, there is no doubt that you're going to absolutely smash it and get an income out of it. But yeah, guys, I hope you enjoyed this video, and if you did, hit that subscribe button, as it's the best way to support the channel. But I'm going to leave this video there for today, so thank you for watching, guys. Keep making music, and I'll see you in the next video.